Tanya Lewis Taylor. And then we'll go virtual for a couple, then we'll come back in person.
This is a little short for me. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tonya Lewis Taylor. I am here in support of the maintaining the lines of District 36, but I'm also here not in support of the redistricting of District 45. So I work, live, worship in District 36. I am the executive director and co-founder of the I Will Graduate program, and we have worked diligently to help our young people to realize their incredible potential. We are a youth development organization, and our goal is to help our young people to realize all of their dreams and potentials and help them through college, high school, into college, and into a solid career. And so we have been doing this work for 15 years, and we want to say hello to our chairman Walcott, who has supported our organization at the I Will Graduate Day celebration annually. And so the reason I am not in support of the redistricting of District 45 is because our organization, nonprofit organization, like many organizations, we went through a hellish ordeal during the pandemic. We lost about 32 staff members. We had to lay off 32 staff members, and we were left with about 4 or 5 of us who had to rebuild our organization. Our primary source of income is working in the New York City schools, helping our young people be all they can be. And by redistricting District 45, we will be losing several schools in that district. My 11, Brooklyn Science Engineering Academy, Samuel J. Tilden, It Takes a Village, Kurt Hahn, and the Cultural Academy for the Arts and Sciences. All of these schools, except for one, our organization provide critical services to our youth in those communities. And after the devastation of the pandemic, and we're still going through it, those students need I Will Graduate to continue the services that is so important to them reaching their college and career goals. Additionally, when the young man, Kay Lewin, was shot down in his car while he was eating dinner with his aunt, it was our organization that was called on by the mayor's office and by the council members of that district to come in and do grief therapy and grief counseling with those students. Those students still need us. And if this district is changed, those students will not have I Will Graduate to continue their progression in their academic and their lives outside of school. So we're asking that you maintain the District 36, and we're asking that you do not change the districts of 45. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Next we'll have William Stanford Jr., and then we'll go to virtual, and we'll have several people from virtual next.
Earlier in this round, which is round 2, I said in order to redraw the lines successfully, you should go by the bus corridors. Well, there's something that I realized you could also go by the highways, because they could be considered bus corridors too, because some buses run on some highways. I logged into your website 2 days ago to see if I could redraw the maps online. Well, unfortunately, I can't cover all city council districts, but I can cover the other option, which is one at a time. And I found it really interesting. I wish I had done it earlier. So I credit you for giving us those opportunities. How early I could submit my proposal to you is unknown. I'll see if I can submit it within the next 2 months. possibly next month. We'll see what happens, because unlike you, I don't have, I can't gain access to a computer 24/7, which is no fault of your own. But this is something you should consider doing. Listen carefully. I don't want you to get confused. City Council District 7 and 10, I'm familiar with them because I traveled through those districts many times since the 1970s, at a time when I was too young to do anything. Okay, it's possible what you should do with those is regarding District 10, it's possible maybe it should be bounded by 155th Street to the north, bounded by between 155th and 181st Streets, river to river, and then District 7, up on 181st Street, river to river. Maybe you should consider doing that. Since someone mentioned Amsterdam Avenue, try that option. Consider doing that. District 6, 96th Street, bounded by 96, well, Western 5th Avenue, between 96 and 57th Streets. Consider doing that because that's, most of that is District 6. Consider doing it that way. That's just an example. As far as the other districts go, I have to check the maps, the actual maps, the proposed maps, and the ones my proposed maps, your proposed maps, and mine, then I can tell you what should be done. But as I said before, the city charter require you to keep communities together. It didn't require you to break up to make up like the stylistics. It didn't require you to do what they did at Howling Habit 92, which is spin the wheel, make the deal, okay? It didn't require you to pit communities against each other, which is similar to the Survivor Series, Teams of 5 try to survive. You understand what I'm saying? You're supposed to keep the communities together, not break them up, not break with the Megalite stylistics, not do what they did at Howling Habit 92, spin the wheel, make the deal, or do what they did at Survivor Series, Teams of 5 try to survive. We're not doing that. This isn't a pay-per-view. You understand what I'm saying? So, as I said before, I believe I mentioned this here at Lehman College. You could redraw the maps your way, which is failure. You could redraw them my way, which is succeeding. The choice is yours. But based on what I've seen, I recommend you redraw them my way, not your way. Because my way is more successful, your way is more unsuccessful. And also, if I was told, if the city council passes a resolution in September, you have to hold additional public hearings. So therefore, you'd be back to square one. So you better hope they don't reject what you send them next month. Because if they reject it, just put it in a resolution, introduce a resolution, you're back to square one. I'm not. So that means you have to hold round 3 public hearings. And I'd be happy to join you.
If you can start to wrap up.
Yes, I'll be happy to join you. Because like I said, I'm familiar with the districts. I've read the maps over the years. I'm familiar with Gotham Gazette. So let's work together, not against each other. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Virtual, Valeria Sowell, Al Matthew, Faye Hill, okay, back to in-person, Maria Barbara Lopez. I don't know if you want to give her that much information. She's just not in the room right now. Little TMI there, little TMI. Is it Cornelia Malcolm? Eljoy Williams. Mohammed Razi. In person, Eston Scott. Your hand is up.
Can I do a request?
No, this is not request time.
Request if you want to speak next or John Chen to speak next.
No.
We have a very strong support team for it.
I'm glad you do, but no, I'm calling by the list. Thank you very much. I appreciate. Nice try. Wakil Ahmed. Stella Lee. Christina Fullerton. Zulema Blair.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Flateau, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Zulema Blair, Chair of the Department of Public Administration at Medgar Evers College, and also a Redistricting Research Director at the Center for Law and Social Justice, where we are a part of the Unity Map Coalition. And all of our districts that were drawn represents the negotiations that have taken place between our racial and language minority groups, and we hope you could adopt most of those lines. First, I want to thank you for keeping our communities of interest whole in the Bronx. That was a request outside the majority district. That was in our maps, our previous maps. Also, I want to thank you for scheduling a hearing at the Schaumburg where people of African descent could voice their concerns about their district lines. I think that might be a first as well. And also for uniting the northern Bronx, including Wakefield, and we hope that it stays that way because that is also a first. That district, that part of the area has always been split. So we hope that remains intact. So for our districts, we wanted to make sure that institutions were protected as much as possible because that's what keeps communities of interest together. Not just the schools, et cetera, but also economic engines, whether it be Metrotech, whether it be colleges, whether it be law schools. We want to make sure that these districts rely on these institutions because they serve as an economic engine. So this is the case with districts 35 and 36. We know that they're advocates to keep the lines together. However, it is difficult to make District 35 a Black plurality district if some of Crown Heights is not taken. We want to make sure District 41, Ocean Hill is kept whole in District 41, and we want to make sure all the other districts, 42, 45, and 46, are also kept whole. We understand that Staten Island wants to be whole, but it leaves very little room for the preservation of other districts and the creation of new majority districts, which the Unity Map is very proud of District 28 for the first time being a majority Black district. So it is hard to do that, and it's hard to follow the Voting Rights Act if all of the deviation is given 4% to Staten Island. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Is Jagpreet Kaur is here? Jagpreet? Johns Chan?
My name is John Chen. Talk to English not better. I want to few translate for me.
Yes, he'll be translating for you.
首先呢，首先感谢6月新的选区委员会，我代表我们的社区能够给我们的机会。
First, thank you for the members of this commission and Chairman Walcott for this thankless work of coming up with these new election districts.
本人在三星帕小生意给居住地方将近20年，我感到这一次新的划区是非常对我们亚裔社区非常有利益， 和谐的这个利益。
Being a small business owner for over 20 years in the Asian community of Brooklyn's Chinatown, we found that District 43 is very favorable to this community and to the constituents in the district.
这个计划体现出美国是一个民主这社区民主的国家，能够体现出少数民族跟少数民族和谐这个一个本权，是我在这里居住40年，首次见到这样的本，我非常高兴。
I'm very pleased that after living in this country for over 40 years, that I'm witnessing this democratic process, that a minority group here can actually have their own districts to truly speak their voices.
我希望新选区委员会能保持这个秉权，通过在市议会，让我们亚裔的团体、亚裔的社区有更好的发展。
I respectfully request that this commission to keep District 43 to allow the Asian communities of Brooklyn have their voice in the district and then therefore select their candidates.
我们收到新委员会发出的时候，我们仅只有几天时间，在社区上面超过1万人的签名支持。
After we received notice of this hearing, we send out petition sheets. We ask residents of the community to sign, and we have collected several thousand so far, and we expect to collect a total of 10,000 of these signatures.
我相信，在我们将来绝对超过5万、10万的人签名支持我们这个亚裔的社区与其他的社区共同的利益。
I believe that if we keep collecting, we can easily get 50,000, 100,000 signatures to show the support of this newly created district.
在我们的手下，我们的团体里面，目前到现在为止，超过100个社团支持这个本本。
Over 100 civic organizations in Brooklyn's Asian community support this newly created district.
希望新选区委员会发出的给我们一个更好的一个 support。
Yeah, we hope that this commission will continue the support of this newly created District 43.
现在目前，我们曾经有38区，有43区，还有其他的州议会、联邦议会、市议员。我们在深圳怕这么久时间发生这么多事情，我们没有见到任何联邦议员、州议员、市议员的来到我们 Asian community 来慰问我们、同情我们。我们现在是真正需要我们当做主，能够为我们社区发表在政府里面的声音。
Yeah, we have invited many federal, congressional officials, state, Senate, Assembly officials, City Council officials to come to our community to help us on various civic issues. But many of them will ignore us, essentially. That's why we find this newly district to be so important to us.
现在希望能够这一次通过这样新的选区，也代表我们的社区能够在政府部门提出我们的声音，希望你们政府给我们关注。
Yeah, and we hope that approving this district can truly give us the opportunity for our voices to be heard, not only at the city council level, but the state and the congressional levels.
我比例一个事情，现在 City Council 里面这么多经费，亚裔的在这边人口这么多，带动的社区这么繁荣，他们给我们经费有多少？不到1%。
We have less than 1% representation in the city council, although that Asians are one of the fastest growing populations in Brooklyn as well as the whole city.
If we can start the wrap up, please.
OK， 我们在这里，我服务的社区20多年，到现在为止，只有一点点的经费，几千万给你，好像我们是乞丐，我们不需要这样的议员，我们需要我们自己 社区能够代表我们的社区。谢谢。
Yeah, we pay so much taxes, but we're not here begging for any funding of any sort. We just want our voices to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you very much for your testimony. Next up is it Shadong Jiang? Shadong Jiang? Okay, after that, we're going to Zoom. Zoom, folks, if we can proceed, we have to have quiet, please. Next on Zoom would be, folks, can we please have quiet? Next on Zoom is Eva Sullivan. Chaim Mandel. Chaim Mandel?
Yeah, yes.
Hi,
Hello?
you're on.
Yeah, hi. Good day. My name is Isaac Chaim Mandel, Executive Director of UTA. It's a mathematical academy of Williamsburg, a private school system educating more than 11,000 students from pre-K to 12th grade. We are probably the largest private school in the country. Our school system is spread out throughout 15 buildings, 13 of which are in Council District 33. 95% of our student body reside in District 33. The draft council district maps will remove about a quarter of our community and 3 of our large school buildings where a third of our students are enrolled from District 33. Thank you for the opportunity to express our concerns of the proposals that will weaken and split a community of interest. First, thanks to large and growing families, we see tremendous growth. Our student body size literally doubled in a matter of about 50 years. This requires additional space. We finished several years ago a new state-of-the-art high school building on 177 Harrison Avenue, where about 1,300 are enrolled. This is one of our 3 buildings that would be removed from the district under the draft maps. We also just completed the addition of 5 floors to another building on Harrison Avenue to be able to accommodate the growth. We need the support of our elected officials, specifically the councilmen, to be supportive on zoning and variance issues, as well as helping with HCs to enable the progress. Additionally, our students and parents have unique childcare and after-school needs. They don't benefit of the regular UPKs or after-school programming and depend on school-based childcare. When the city revamped the childcare regulations, we needed the assistance of our city representatives to ensure that the school-based childcare and after-school programs are still viable. They also depend on constant advocacy to ensure that working parents can have this type of child care covered. We also depend on city assistance to provide security guards for private schools who don't have the regular NYPD protection as public schools. This became critically important after the Jersey City shooting that targeted members of our community and the spike of anti-Semitic attacks in Williamsburg. We are a minority as is in the district and in the city. However, we depend to be together to have one council member who can understand and focus on our needs. Without that critical mass, it's hard to have a council member's strong attention to our complex issues and their time and energy to fight for our needs. It is for the reason that I ask you to please adopt a plan that will keep South Williamsburg together. You have been presented with a plan that will unite our community and will also keep our neighboring community, North Williamsburg, united. I appeal to you to adopt that plan. Thank you for listening and hopefully grant this request. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Karen Blondell? Mindy Rothschild?
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello? I'm on Zoom?
Yes,
Hello?
on Zoom, and we can hear you.
Yes, hi. Hi, my name is Mandy Rothschild. I live in South Williamsburg for the past 20 years. I work here. I raised my kids here. I'm an active member in the community, working tirelessly on its behalf to help it thrive and achieve its full potential. 18 years ago, I committed to establishing Benoist Square of Williamsburg with a group of like-minded parents The school went from having a few dozen students at its opening to currently educating more than 700 students from elementary through high school. The school is but one example of the institutions our community was able to establish based on our strong sense of unity and like.
That's on him. Okay, that wasn't us. So we'll wait to reconnect.
Oh.
Oh, there you go. You're back. Hello?
Okay, so the school is one example of the institutions our community was able to establish based on our strong sense of unity and like-minded determination that was and still is the bedrock component of what makes South Williamsburg the community I am proud to be a part of and proud to have raised my family in. This sense of community gives District 33 the values that make us unique. Our unified front and collective voices when it comes to our community's essential needs, it's something that our elected officials have taken note of and realize its importance. It is because
You're going in and out right now, so what we'll do, we're going to switch back to in person. She was out of the room, and Maria Barbara Lopez.
hello?
Okay, what we're going to have to do is, because you've been going in and out, and what we need to do is really continue with the testimony here. We ask you to submit the testimony, and then we'll try to reconnect later on. Ms. Lopez?
No sé.
There's no interpreter?
Yep, just let us know. We have an interpreter. You need an interpreter?
Spanish?
Sí.
Yep, hold on one second.
I'd rather get a professional. Huh? Okay.
Gracias.
¿No estaba preparado? No, yo también puedo. Okay.
Ya, déjame ver.
A ver.
Sí.
Solo class,
Ok,
for class.
bueno.
Are you gonna interpret?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Gracias a la Comisión de Redistribución de la Ciudad de Nueva York por organizar esta segunda audiencia pública.
Thank you to the Districting Commission of New York for organizing this second series of public hearings.
Soy María Bárbara López. He vivido en esta comunidad por 43 años.
My name is Maria Barbara Lopez. I have lived in this community for 43 years.
Soy líder comunitaria y trabajadora incansable de mi cultura y mis tradiciones.
I am a community leader and worker, defender of my culture and Mexican culture, immigrants of our neighborhood, Sunset Park.
Emigrante de calidad. Venimos a aportar.
We are working immigrants. We came to work, and yeah.
La distribución son la base justa para una representación especial.
Okay, a redistricting process is the base of a fair, districts for our communities.
La oportunidad de diseñar distritos justos se hace una vez cada 10 años.
Okay, the opportunity to create these districts only comes once every 10 years.
Si no lo hacen de manera correcta,
If it is not done in the right way,
nuestra comunidad tendrá que vivir con las consecuencias hasta la próxima década.
our communities will have to live with the consequences for the next decade.
Este censo no funcionó por la pandemia.
This previous census was very difficult because of the pandemic.
La comunidad estaba enfocada 100% a la situación del COVID-19.
Our communities were completely focused on our survival and the situation due to COVID-19.
Sacudió fuertemente en todo, en alimentos, servicios y los adultos mayores, familia y niños estaban vulnerables.
Okay, we had difficulties from everything with our health care to food to services for seniors and
Familias y niños. Familias y niños.
¿Cómo?
Familia y niños.
And our family and children.
Funerales fueron a doquier por todos lados. Hospitales y médicos, servicios no había.
There were funerals almost every single day. People were going to the hospital, doctors.
Muchos recibieron apoyo, los emigrantes no.
Many people received support, many immigrants did not.
Enfocados en este problema con la renta y el COVID, todo mundo tenía miedo.
Focused on these issues, our rent and COVID, we didn't have the opportunity to do this.
Por los pocos trabajadores del censo no se podían comunicar bien.
Even the census workers couldn't always communicate well with us.
Abrir la puerta era un peligro, no hablaban español.
People feel that opening the door is a danger. These workers didn't always speak Spanish.
Esta comunidad es 100% latina. Hablamos español.
We have large immigrant Spanish-speaking communities.
Estaban enfocados en pagar la renta y buscar comida,
We were focused in paying the rent and looking for food.
por lo cual no fuimos contados correctamente y a conciencia.
And as a result, we were not necessarily counted the way we should have been.
Entonces, ¿cómo es posible que tengan una base de datos
And so how is it possible to have a, base of correct data
si no están seguros? Faltan trabajos locales para tener tiempo de calidad.
Okay. There were not enough, local workers, and that created a quality issue.
La población tiene que viajar todos los días del año y transportarse diariamente.
Our population has to travel every day and wasn't able to necessarily open the door.
Agradezco a la comisión por comprometerse a un proceso abierto
Thank you again to the Commission for committing yourselves to an open process,
y a la comisión para tratar de distribuir esta información sobre el proceso.
and to the Commission for sharing the information about how to participate.
De la redistribución de distrito y las próximas reuniones a las representaciones en el futuro.
Okay, on this process of redistricting, the next meetings and all of the presentations that were given to explain our future representation.
Pido a la comisión tomar conciencia
I ask this commission to be very conscious of these issues I've put forward.
trabajar con las organizaciones comunitarias y étnicas de toda la ciudad.
Okay, and to continue working with community organizations and media throughout the city.
If you could start to
Gracias a
wrap up,
todos
please.
por su lucha. Gracias a todos. Gracias de nuevo a todos por los muchos compañeros que están en la lucha y a un lugar digno de representantes con justicia y verdad.
Thank you again, and thank you to the many people who have come out and testified, everyone in this fight, to create a dignified place and representation for our communities.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very much. Felina, back up.
Yes. Good afternoon, members of the New York City Districting Commission, in particular Commission Chair and my former Chancellor, Mr. Dennis Walcott, and Executive Director, Dr. Flateau. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Felina Backer, and I am speaking on behalf of my organization, Making the Impossible Possible, Inc., and as a resident of Canarsie for many, many years. I am simply going to put all that the prior residents of Canarsie have said. As an active voter of Canarsie, I firmly urge the Commission to keep all, and I mean all, of Canarsie from East 108th Street to the east, Ralph Avenue to the west, Foster Avenue to the north, and Shore Parkway to the south, wholly contained within the 46th District. These boundaries would finally add the Rockaway Parkway subway station and the Merchant Strip, something that our community have been asking for a long time. The Commission's proposed preliminary plan map will surely handicap the sustainability of the community, such as city services, funding for effective community-based programs, schools, parks, libraries, and vital institutions. Canarsians have unique needs with committed people who are vested in doing what is best for our beloved community. We are on the rise and we demand wholeness. As a result of the aforementioned, I do not support the proposed Commission's mapping of Canarsie. We, for the first time, have elected a phenomenal council member who have thus far have done much to advance Canarsie in the right direction. We want Canarsie to remain whole and represented by a singular member of the city council member in order to avoid confusion in the delivery of services due to Canarsians. Thank you for your anticipated positive decision of keeping Canarsie whole. I am yielding my 32 seconds to Keon.
Thank you. Walcott, as a former schools chancellor, you know how hard it is to actually deliver quality education to our students in this city. When I graduated from Cornell University, I came back to Canarsie to teach students, and the service delivery for students for Excel Upper School, we've received a number of awards, but it's going to be hard if you were to separate Excel Upper, which is the middle school component, from the Excel Lower, the elementary school component, where we're just simply trying to make sure that students with special needs are receiving the adequate support. I yield the time to Mercedes.
So I want to say thank you before we leave here. We want to support the Unity map and to include all the area that I spoke about. We are community of interest. We share the school. We have the biggest church, Holy Family, that's supposed to be part of our district is out. We have our strip, that was Rockaway Parkway. We like to have that in our community. That's where we shop, and our school building, and we just invest $1.5 million in our library on Rockaway Parkway. That should be including to our part of our District 46. So thank you, Commissioner. I know we took a lot of time, so God bless. Hallelujah. Yes, amen. So thank you for all my community, my constituents. Thank you for staying here. As you can see, we stay here all this evening with you. So I hope you consider that, and thank you.
Thank you, council member, and for your testimony. Thank you. All righty, so next up in person, is Al here? Because Al without a last name? Okay. All right, in person, Ming Ying Tang. Ming Ying Tang. Kay Wang. Mark Appel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walcott, Chairman of the Commission. Thank you all Commission members. My name is Mark Appel. I work in Flatbush in Council 45th District. I'm the founder and executive director of the Bridge Multicultural and Advocacy Project, a project that brings all cultures, religions together as one people. And I'm so proud of the work that the 45th District has always been an extremely diverse district, and they work together collectively on holidays or religion and issues affecting the city. The map submitted by Council Member Farah Lewis includes provisions to expand the district into East Flatbush, Flatlands, and Canarsie area to meet the criteria of the charter to increase our population. These changes will in turn lead to more healthcare institutions, parks, and senior centers for the district and solidify our commitment to bringing increased access to our vulnerable population who rely on affordable healthcare for their families by raising the quality of life for youth and families in the entire district. In my work in District 45, a large people of the people I serve would no longer have access to essential resources our organization provides, stunting the growth of this predominantly Caribbean and South Asian community that needs so much help The preliminary maps drawn by the commission, which splits our longstanding institutions in East Flatbush away from our district, will negatively impact these people by pulling needed resources away from our community. I hope you take the time to reconsider the disparities represented on the preliminary map, expand the district further into East Flatbush, Flatlands, and Canarsie, and restore the East Flatbush and Remsen Village neighborhoods to keep our neighborhood a diverse neighborhood and a neighborhood that is known throughout the city as a diverse neighborhood where we collectively, Jewish people, Christian people, and Caribbean people, and black people, Muslim people, we all work together as one people. Thank you and God bless.
And thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Betty Aristide Augustine. Atia Shanaz. Shanaz. Andrew Collins. Michael Weiss. Lawrence Can. Tanya Lewis spoke, right? Roberto Samedi. Tyrone McDonald. Angela Davidson. Mark Appel. Curtis Nelson. James Cyprian. Bazaar, is it Bazaar Rohi? Ruhi? R-O-O-H-I. Zach Khan. Is it Violine Roberti? Amy Monique Waddell. Spencer Cassius. Caroline Patansis. Lloyd Feng. Yahing Wang. One name, Marcos. Yu Lin. One name, Francesco. Guadalupe Coetero. C-O-E-T-E-R-O. Felipe Salinas. Jerry Chen. Su Shang Chen. Did I? Jerry? Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Welcome.
Hey, so I prepared a speech, but I'm not gonna go through it. I know everyone's tired. Okay, it won't take more than 3 minutes.
Take your time.
It started good afternoon, but no, good evening. Okay. My name is Jerry Chan. I'm a resident of Brooklyn for more than 40 years. I also serve in the military for trying to not to get so close because everyone's not wearing a mask, talking into the mic. Yeah. So also
Can you take it off? I mean, and then stay far, whatever you're comfortable, but the transcriber needs to hear you, that's all. There you go.
However you like it.
Okay.
Okay. Resident of Brooklyn for 40 years. I also served in the military for 11, U.S., right? Thank you for creating the map, but to me, creating the redistricting is not going to solve the problem, right? We also have to think about, right, I live in Brooklyn for a long time. The biggest problem is not the city council that is not serving the community. It's the community board, right? So I advise that if we are deciding to do this, let's think about redistricting the community board, right? I'll give you an example. Chinatown, Manhattan, 3 district board, 1, 2, and 3. Stuff been sitting there for 10 years, still not resolved. It's not the city council, it's the community board fighting among each other. So I want to quickly kind of go to the point what I want to say then. then so give other people opportunity to say this. I am actually opposed of the redistricting, how you guys came up with, but I am in support of the unity map that they created. Okay, it makes sense, right? And you hear what everyone say, and the reason I don't want to repeat because people have been saying what I want to say throughout the afternoon already. So thank you for taking your time. Thank you everyone for showing up. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Shu Shang Chen? Samuel Sierra.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As I'm sure most of you know, one of the most important criteria for drawing new maps requires district lines to keep intact neighborhoods and communities of interest, meaning communities with established ties of common interest and association, whether historical, racial, economic, ethnic, religious, or other. Also, neighborhoods include uninhabited places uniquely connected to the community, like a waterfront. I represent such a community, the community of Sunset Park in District 38. I'm a resident of District 38 for the past 54 years. I rise today against the proposed map involving District 38. Among the things that this proposed plan would force upon the community of Sunset Park would be reduced public investment and resources in education, health, and other areas. Sunset Park will see less representation, resources, and discretionary funding. Average income rates in Sunset Park would be impacted and overstated. We'd have 2 different income rates in Sunset Park. Our hospital, our church would now be in two different districts. A portion of our federally qualified health center network would now be in 2 different districts, thereby impacting on the social determinants of health in our community that is Sunset Park. The proposed plan leaves the community of Sunset Park unfairly partitioned and due to that, unfairly ignored. We should not rely solely on census numbers or any possible new ethnic majority districts to make this, to make this new map. In accordance with the city charter, the commission is required to, among other things, keep neighborhoods intact and avoid oddly shaped districts. It is my humble opinion that this plan falls far too short of that. I'm wrapping up. You are all from diverse backgrounds, professions, and opinions. However, you share, as we do, the common goal that we care.
Somebody left their phone? Oh.
You are all from diverse backgrounds.
Can I just stop you for 1 second? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
That's where the Canarsie folks were sitting, so I'm not sure if somebody, when they were leaving, left their phone, so you want to double check that? Say that again? Oh, somebody else just sat down there? Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to make sure they didn't leave their phone. Okay.
In accordance with the city charter, the commission is required to, among other things, keep neighborhoods intact and avoid oddly shaped districts. Once again, it is my humble opinion that this plan falls far too short of that. You are all from diverse backgrounds, professions, and opinions. However, you share, as we do, the common thought that we care about our city and our communities. We ask that you go back to the drawing board and return with a map that does not carve up Sunset Park. I spoke of Sunset Park today, but there are many other communities with the same valid concerns. And Sunset Park is but one of many. According to the statistics of the Census Bureau in 2020, in Sunset Park, the majority was of Hispanic. Hispanic was the majority in Sunset Park. It also indicates that there was growth of 135,000 or so Hispanics versus 300,000 or so Asians. That does not mean that the Hispanic community was diminished. By carving up Sunset Park, we take away the vote of the Hispanic community. And it's not fair to take away the voice of Peter to provide a voice for Paul. With that said, I yield the time. And thank you so much.
And thank you for your testimony, sir. James, is it Niemeister?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is James Nymeister. I want to start by thanking the commissioners, Chair Walcott, and the staff. I know there are many factors you've got to weigh in this process, and thank you for your work and your attention during these long hearings. So I do work in the office of Councilmember Alexa Aviles. I am here tonight in my personal capacity as a Brooklyn resident, listening and been interesting. I also worked on the NYC census effort to get more New Yorkers counted in the 2120 census, because everybody deserves their fair share and representation, and I feel personally and morally compelled to be here and kind of see this through too. We were all foot soldiers on the road to freedom here. David Dinkins began his inaugural address, and I really do mean that. I know a lot of people in this room, shook hands with them, and we were chatting. We all do deserve these fair maps and a fair shot at electing representatives who will be responsive to the needs of all communities. My message today is that you've got options to craft a proposal worthy of our city's gorgeous mosaic. The initial proposal from this commission would create 2 plurality or majority white districts in place of a majority people of color coalition district by splitting up Red Hook and Sunset Park. I think the burden of proof is very high for the commission to separate these 2 neighborhoods. With both neighborhoods together, you can create a district by a variety of means that is majority people of color and has roughly equal proportions of white, Latino, and Asian voters. By separating the 2 neighborhoods, which have shared representation at several levels of government for decades, you cannot achieve a majority people of color or coalition district in South Brooklyn, in addition to an Asian opportunity district. That could be a large plurality or a majority Asian district, depending on how you configure it. I will submit this in writing and some maps and some figures. I do want to say Red Hook and Sunset Park are very distinct neighborhoods, but they do share a lot of needs. You've heard about the waterfront. You've heard about climate justice. Bay Ridge and Park Slope are very unlike either of the 2, with very high rates of voter participation that could diminish the influence of voters in Red Hook and in Sunset Park to a very significant degree. Some of the alternatives before you include the Unity Map proposal. Another option would be to create a district that includes Sunset Park, Red Hook, Gowanus, and Carroll Gardens together. That would unite public housing. That wouldn't preclude the creation of a majority Asian district. I'll just close out. I know this commission does have to weigh a lot of factors, and that was such a strongly felt issue. You're going to hear a lot of different views on just this area of Brooklyn alone. So I thank you once again for listening, and I ask you to put forward a proposal in September that is worthy of our city's gorgeous mosaic. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Marie Harris? Terrell Jeremiah? Is it Jean Similien? Similien? Is it Ethne Ferrari? Again, a single name, Mark. Is it Susan Shuhang? Chhuang. Maria Garrett. Ruth Guillaume. Harold Jones.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
You see my posse has left me.
I see that.
My Canarsie posse. My name is Harold Jones. I live in Canarsie for 43 years. I'm giving this testimony to advocate for my community, Canarsie Flatlands, to keep it together and whole. In 2014, New York State awarded Canarsie $11.9 million for the resiliency of Canarsie, and I was selected as that chair of that committee. After the work was completed, we formed Canarsie Community Development, Inc., a 501c3 nonprofit, to continue that work. Our mission statement is to help and strengthen Block associations block and residence associations. The second thing is to unify the civic and block associations under the CCDI umbrella to establish a unified voice in addressing concerns of Canarsie. I would issue 4 things that your map would affect Canarsie, 4 ways. The first one, to come to that, block associations. What you're proposing will take away, we have 107 blocks in Canarsie. I plan to organize each one of them. By that map change, you're taking away 30 to 40 of those blocks out of the 46. So now, I've worked so hard to organize these blocks, and in one stroke, you're taking away 30 of them. For the second one, for the first time, we were given an opportunity to participate in the $21 million plan to renovate our Canarsie Library. The first time, and I was part of that planning, where we will be given space for community events, since we are the only large community in Brooklyn without a community center. And what you're doing is taking away that library out of 46. The third thing you're doing, our community was devastated by Superstorm Sandy. We had nowhere to go. FEMA, the agencies, there were nowhere to go until Whole of Family stepped in and we were able to get services, food, water, to allow us to function, and I was affected by that storm. As an engineer, power engineer, I wrote an emergency plan for Canarsie based on science that will allow Canarsie to function for a couple of weeks in case of a storm, a cyber attack, and all these things. What you have done, Holy Family, the 3 large churches in Brooklyn, in Canarsie, Holy Family, Baraka Baptist, and my church, St. Albans Episcopal, you have taken those 3 things out of the 46. You've taken this in one stroke. So now the plan, there's no plan anymore because we needed those 3 services to provide services in case we have another storm. So you've taken that away. So fourth, last thing. Robert Kennedy once said, small businesses are the economic drivers of our country, providing the stimulus for our community needs. One of my top priorities was to work closely with Rockaway Merchants Association, and I was the first sponsor, and we now have them complete. It is important to bring that into Canarsie, that Rockaway Parkway, because we have a functioning Merchants Association now, so that we can revive our community. To stimulate it, we need to have them in 46. I would say a fragmented Canarsie will disrupt services and make funding for programs, schools, parks, and institutions more difficult. And I urge you to look at your maps again and see how you're affecting our community. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your testimony, sir. Next up would be Fasir Kabir.
Hello all.
Hello.
Nice to be here. Been a lot of waiting, but I've enjoyed all of the testimonies. It's been a pleasure. Good afternoon, everyone and people of all communities. I am Fasir Kabir. Now, I have lived in Kensington close to 13 years, as I'm 13, closing into 14. And because of that, I've seen many of the struggles, the hardships, and also many of the positives and excellence here in this community. I believe that I myself and my Bangladeshi and South Asian community have reasons to advocate for ourselves and for our propositions to be recognized and acknowledged. ALDEF has submitted a community of interest map for the Bangladeshi community in Kensington. I am here as a devoted and passionate member of the Bangladeshi and South Asian community to tell the Commission to keep our community of Kensington united under one council district. Our community is unfortunately divided into multiple districts, and the proposal continues to divide us even more so. Our community on both sides of Ocean Parkway is nearly indistinguishable in terms of our day-to-day life and our community practices. We all go to our same masjids, the same grocery stores, same cultural and celebrational centers, and we embrace each other and strive to overcome a plethora of challenges together. We need to unite under one district for the benefit of the people of our community and our incoming generations in the next 10 years. Hundreds of hopeful Bangladeshi and South Asian families immigrate to New York at a rapid rate, and we need to ensure that those people can feel accepted into our community through the environment our leaders and our people can foster. Your decision will impact us for the next 10 years. By the time this process begins anew, I will be 23. That means a whole new generation will live in the community along with us by that time. We can instate the changes that can be made if our concerns today are acknowledged and understood. A whole new generation can thrive and rejoice in the community we can cultivate if we are acknowledged today. Thank you all very much, and thank you for your time.
And thank you for your 13 years. Much appreciated. Is it Taslima Shelley?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Saida Parveen Akhtar. I'm living and also working in Kensington more than 25 years. I'm also a member from DRUM, Desh is Rising Up and Moving. ALDEF has submitted Community of Interest map for the Bangladeshi community in Kensington. I'm here to tell the Commission to keep our community of Kensington united in one council district. We spent many years building power in community. When we first came here many years ago, there were not many Bangladeshis here. We would have to go down to Coney Island or up to Jackson Heights to get groceries or even for prayer. We built this Bangladeshi community in Kensington. It took us many years and a lot of work. Our working class community deserves to be kept together. Any map that divides us will erase our community many years of work. This community was heavily under surveillance after 9/11. Many of our community members were forced to register under the NCR's program and deported without any reason. We organized our community to fight back against their racist policies. Please don't make the same mistakes of the past governments and split our communities up. Please use the map submitted by ALDEF for the Kensington Bangladeshi community of interest and keep us in one district. Your decision will impact us for the next 10 years, so take our community's concern seriously. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much as well. For DRUM, I just want to be very clear. That will capture the DRUM testimony, or do you want me to call the other folks I have listed here for DRUM? So I'm just trying to clarify what you had told to me. Say again? Yeah, we have. Oh, okay. No, I just want to make sure I understood what you said before. So, Khalida, is it Akhtar? A-K-H-T-E-R. Yes. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Khaled Akhtar. My name is Khaled Akhtar Ruby, and I am a member of DRAM. This is Rising Up and Moving. I have lived in Kensington for 8 years with my family. Aldev has submitted a community of interest map for the Bangladeshi community in Kensington.
No, just move the mic down. Yeah, move the mic down a little bit. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
I am here to tell the Commission to keep our community of Kensington united in one council district. District 39 has been one of the only council districts that actually includes and reaches out to the Bangladeshi community for particularly budgeting. Council member Shahana Hanif in particular makes it easier for us to participate with Bangla language workshop and ballots. If you split us up into many districts, we would lose this ability to participate in how our city runs. Unite our Bangladeshi community and allow us all to participate in democracy. Please use the map submitted by Aldev for the Kensington Bangladeshi community of interest and keep us in one district. Your decision will impact us for the next 10 years, so please our communities concerned sincerely. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next, is it Saida? Saida? S-Y-A-D-A Akha? That's the one who spoke earlier? Okay, fine. Just double checking. Edward Cerna?
Good evening, members.
Before you start, sir, if you just move it up a little bit, that way. There you go. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Edward Cerna. I want to disclose that I'm testifying as a resident of Sunset Park, although I am an employee of Councilmember Alexa Vilas. I want to start my testimony by acknowledging how hard public service is and how challenging it is to balance competing interests. I want to share that when these proposed maps were first disclosed, I took that proposal very personally. I did so because your body of work comes at the tail end of a process that began in 2020, when it was projected that the city was going to face a loss of 2 congressional seats, millions of dollars of federal funds being lost, and an undercount. But I, like my colleague James, joined the New York City Census, and I was a Brooklyn lead organizer. And with an unprecedented investment of the city, we took on the challenge of doing just that, turning out the count, getting our fair share of federal funds, and protecting our representation. And if you recall, that work was done on the backdrop of an adversarial presidential administration that was hell-bent on putting on a question around immigration on the census, whose only logical purpose was to instill fear into our communities and turn down the count. Yet, we pushed through in our efforts. I tabled at houses of worship, presented at community boards, attended events for community-based organizations, and I looked folks and Brooklynites in the face and said, trust us, trust this process, trust that we're gonna have your back. And yet, the proposed maps for D38 would have Sunset Park be broken up, gerrymandered, separated from neighborhoods like Red Hook that have long shared representations on multiple levels of government. And in fact, District 38 was created in 1989 as part of the city charter revision designed to be a Hispanic opportunity district. And again, these maps would dilute people of color at a time when we know there was an undercount during the census, because as Barbara even testified, folks were scared of opening the door. They thought that their relatives would literally be deported. And so to split up Sunset Park, to join it with Bay Ridge would create a majority white district and dilute, again, people of color and Latino voting power. And so I'll close with Our community's members, both on the Asian community, all across the Bangla community, you've heard it many times before, did what they were supposed to do back in 2020, which was to participate in the process and get their representation and their themselves counted. And it's time that this commission do what it's supposed to do, which is to make tough decisions and not balance like the interests of other places in the city on the backs of Brooklynites. At the Staten Island hearing, I heard someone say that representation is like a bone that you could throw around. My representation is not a bone. I worked hard to earn it. Our community members worked hard to earn it. So give Brooklynites our fair share of representation. Don't balance the numbers on the backs of Brooklynites. And I'm in support of a border crossing from Staten Island to Brooklyn as the Unity Coalition maps propose, and I advocate that Sunset Park be kept whole. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Joel Gross. Sally Gonzalez. Reverend Amote Sayas. Mon Yuk Yu. Eric Chan. Georgette. Say again? Okay. Georgette Clark. Claudia Fletcher. Terry Hum. Cedric Fletcher. Teresa Davis. Farida Khan. Brian Gross.
Hello. All right. Hi, I just first want to disclose that I'm an employee of Councilmember Alexa Aviles' office, but I'll be speaking as a resident of District 38 today. And as someone born and raised in District 38, I 100% do not agree with these new maps. I honestly hate the fact that our district will be put together with Bay Ridge. Nothing against Bay Ridge, but just neighborhoods that are very different with different interests, different classes, different languages. It just doesn't really make any sense. The Latino community has fought for decades for representation in this area, and it just, as someone born and raised in the area, it just makes absolutely no sense. And I think the Latino community deserves representation. The fact that the Latino community will now be a minority is honestly a disgrace to the city. It's a disgrace to the neighborhood. It's just something I don't agree with at all. I think the districting commission just needs to do better. I don't know what anyone was on when they made these maps or how or what they were thinking, but I think it's completely wrong. I think it's a shame that they're going to pit two council members against each other, two council members who try as hard as possible to represent their district and just create some sort of mess in 2023, 2024, or whenever. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Floyd Jarvis. Michelle Andrade. Tricia Bartholomew.
Good evening, Commissioner, Dr. Flatu, and everyone assembled here today at MEC. My name is Tricia Bartholomew, and I am a recent graduate from the Department of Public Administration here at MEC. I am also a resident of ENY. Is it important for the district in which MEC reside to have more of Crown Heights, which is how it was drawn by the Unity map. Many students and employees live, work, and attend school in this district, which would bode stronger advocacy for District 35. Also, the proposed District 35 would have more economic institutions in the district, which would assist employment opportunities for the district, especially MEC graduates. Please consider the United map lines when drawing this district redrawn. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
And thank you for your testimony. TS, that's how it's signed. Glennis Stewart. Micheline, is it Fabulos? Roselia Williams. Cherry Pelzer. Okay, we'll go to virtual. Steve May. Steve?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Steve May. I am the Director of CPC's Brooklyn Community Services in Sunset Park. I do apologize I can't be in person today. I'm actually in transit, pulled over. So just a little bit of background about CPC. We're the nation's largest Asian social service organization, serving 125,000 New Yorkers annually across all 51 council districts. Of the 125,000 New Yorkers, 2/3 are Asian Americans, like mostly ethnic Chinese, and the other third reflects the diversity of New York, Black, Brown, Arabic, so on and so on. CPC offers 55 unique programs across 35 sites, and I'm the director of our site in Sunset Park, which is in the middle of Council District 38. Some of the programs that we offer through our community center in Sunset Park includes childcare, leadership development, job development, college access, benefit support, legal immigration services, services for families with special needs, mental health services, like older adult services, so on and so on. And we serve about 24,000 Brooklynites at our community center in Sunset Park. So I'm here today to support the Unity Map, which was created by a multiracial coalition as the result of deep engagement with community partners and is representative and beneficial for communities across the city. We urge the New York City Districting Commission to adopt the Unity Map, which demonstrates how district lines can be drawn to be fair, equitable, for vulnerable and underserved communities. So specifically in Sunset Park, the Unity Map keeps the AAPI community and the Latinx communities intact without diluting one another's voting power. These working class communities share common concerns around equity and resources related to language access, affordable housing, immigration, access to benefits, just to name a few. We also want to acknowledge that the representatives who have served the 38th District have historically delivered and advocated fiercely for the needs of the most marginalized and immigrant communities, including the Asian and the Latinx communities. So in Bensonhurst, the AAPI community is currently divided into 4 city council districts, ranging from 17% to 30% in districts 44, 47, 43, and 38 respectively. Bensonhurst needs to be kept as whole as possible, which is done by the proposed Unity Map. In the Lower East Side in Chinatown, we support the Unity Map in keeping the community interest intact as one district. In Flushing, we ask the Commission to push the northern border back to 22nd Avenue, which is reflected in the Unity Map. From a service provider's perspective, it is important for us to keep our communities of interest as whole as possible to safeguard our voting power to elect candidates of their choice. It is critical that we elect candidates that respond meaningfully to the needs of our communities across the city. We have continued to see disproportionate distribution of public funding to community-based organizations serving AAPI communities despite our rapidly growing population. The Coalition for Asian American Children and Families, CACF, reported that organizations serving the Asian American Pacific Islander communities received 4.37% of City Council discretionary dollars and less than 1.5% of social services contract dollars. So in the midst of this health crisis, we need to ensure that our communities receive deep investment and engagement, which is precisely why the redistricting process needs to be as fair and as transparent as possible in order for us to prevent the dilution of APA community power and representation. So we urge the Commission to keep communities of interest intact by adopting the unity map. So in closing, I appreciate the time from everyone, and thank you for hearing me out.
And thank you for your testimony. Tanzin Azard, virtually. Good evening. Tanzin?
Hello, can you see me and hear me?
Yes, to both. We can see and hear you.
Thank you so much. Apologies for that. I want to begin by thanking the City Districting Commission, New York City Districting Commission, for orchestrating these hearings and allowing me to present my testimony this evening. My name is Tazeen Azad, and I am the Brooklyn Borough President's appointee to New York City Panel for Educational Policies. And I'm here today to implore the Commission to maintain the district lines of the City Council District 39 so that the South Asian community of the district remains intact. And therefore, I am in solidarity with all of the speakers before me, including the youth, who have advocated for the very same. As an educational advocate, I can personally tell you that sustaining of a cultural and ethnic enclave have direct impact on the educational success of students of vulnerable communities. When students and their families receive proper responsive representation from their elected officials, we see dismantling of barriers that otherwise would go unnoticed and consequently impede the attainment of fair and equitable education. Let's take the pandemic and its impact on the Bangladeshi community of District 39 as an example. We immediately saw disconnection as families faced lack of language access and technological access. Although the Department of Education had just recognized Bangla as one of its 8 city-wide languages, given that Bangladeshi community is one of the fastest rising immigrant communities in the city, the department lacked the on-the-ground knowledge for how to connect with these families experiencing both language and digital disconnection and barriers. Therefore, the DOE enlisted the support of local advocates, CBOs, and yes, elected officials to collect elected officials to support. We collectively identified this community in the District 39 for additional support to improve language access and data collection. We also were able to identify this community, majority of whom are Muslims, to be food insecure, which led to the local schools to be designated as a halal school food distribution site. And we did this with the proper partnership with the city, with the district, District 39's council member. Additionally, council members have the ability to advocate for proper funding for schools and its specific and unique student population and given their diverse needs. And when the representation very closely reflects that who is present in the schools, we see directing of funds to after-school programs and enrichment programs that especially cater to those communities. Furthermore, we educational advocates recognize the importance of representation that look like them in all leadership positions. The Bangladeshi community has been the center of producing political, educational, economic, civic, and youth empowerment. This was possible for the last 10 years, at least, in this community, as the elected officials have recognized the value inherent in this District 39's Bangladeshi community. Therefore, the dismantling of the representation will have palpable disruptive effects. Once again, commissioners, please move against the current redistricting lines and move towards sustaining the community of Bangladeshi community of the District 39, which is currently dissected into more than four other districts, as it is your moral and functional imperative. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Some of the names I'm reading now I may have said before, so I just want to double check. Gerard Brewster, Kayan Rowe. Is it Mutel Islam?
Honorable NOIC Districting Commission, good afternoon. My name is Mutiul Islam and I am a member of DRAM. I have lived in Kensington for 5 years. Aldif has submitted a community of interest map for the Bangladeshi community in Kensington. I am here to tell the Commission to keep our community of Kensington united in one council district. Our community is very diverse. I have blacks, Jewish, Spanish neighbors, and we all get along in Kensington. I know they also want to be in one district. Do not split our communities apart. Please use the map submitted by Aldi for the Kensington Bangladeshi community of interest and keep us in one district. Your decision will impact us for the next 10 years. So take our community's concerns seriously. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your testimony. Della Harley.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Della Harley, and I'm a lifelong resident of Southeast Queens. And I hear the way people talk passionately about Brooklyn, but I'm here to tell you about Queens. I currently live in the 27th district. I used to live in 28th. And it's a neighborhood where we have the Road Runners Club, and I go to run in the Baisley Pond Park every Saturday morning. I play tennis in Rochdale Village. I use the other parks and do all kinds of community things. Now, I'm also a lifelong resident. I'm also a member of the Unity Map Coalition, and it was very important to me for us to keep our communities of interest whole, and at the same time elect our candidates of choice. Now, we understand the dynamics of different constituencies of District 28, but we also have to understand the dynamics of the historical issues that impact multiracial groups. Now, to the extent that we are able to be inclusive and still elect a candidate of choice, then we must strive for that. It is important that the Rockaways be considered as a community of interest along the coast, and that JFK as an economic development engine be available for District 27, 28, and 31. And it is extremely important that we keep our housing developments together, such as Rochdale Village, because cracking Rochdale Village is very, affects us very significantly, and we hope that you take that into consideration, because it's one of the most, the districts that with the highest voter turnout in the whole of Southeast Queens. So with that, I yield my position. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony, sir. Colette Boston. Amanda Alexandra. Michael Alexandra. Bushell Marcus.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And greetings, Brother Dennis. Good to see you again. I remember you from Board of Ed. Anyway, my brother John Flato just stepped out. But anyway, my name is Dr. Bertrand Marcus. I'm the Community Director for the Borough of Brooklyn and Brooklyn Advocate on the Community Advocates and Development Organization. I lived in the 41st Congressional District, the 9th Congressional District, and the 55th Congressional District. And as a lifelong resident of Brooklyn, I've been doing a lot of work here in Brooklyn for many, many years, over 4 decades. And I've seen the changes in and out. And when I heard about the redistricting again here in the city, I'm like, well, what are they up to now? And I think this committee should take a good look and make the hard decision to leave things as they are. We're in dire needs, and from what I'm seeing, we are divided, totally divided. And what you're doing is going to separate and divide us even more. I'm working hard to bring our communities together under one umbrella. Our former board president tagged Brooklyn as one Brooklyn. And with the redistricting that I'm looking at right now, it's not going to be one Brooklyn. We already have a racial disparity right now in Brooklyn. And this redistricting would definitely cause us to be further apart than together. Right now, the 9th and 10th Congressional District are actually overlapping, where Akeem Jeffries and Yvette Clarke is going to be clashing with each other. We don't need that. We don't need it. The 41st Congressional District, they're looking to split that up even further. Before we had overlapped into East New York at a certain distance, now they took that away. And they move us over to the Crown Heights area, 35th District. And we having problems when we do elections. We're looking at how the districts are drawn, and people running back and forth looking to see which district they're going to vote in this time or that time. It's a mess. Right now, it's a mess. We've been having problems with the Board of Elections right now with actually giving people the right zip code to vote in. You change this, it's going to be even a bigger mess. And I urge you to look into your heart, look at this redistricting, and leave the districts where they are right now. It's enough problems. Leave it alone. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is it Pervez Sidlaw? Adrenia Bergen?
Good afternoon. But I feel cold and I'm shaking. Long time I'm wait here.
There you go. That's what I wanted you to do. Thank you.
My name is Farzin Rakiba and I am a member of DRAM. I have lived in Kensington for 14 years with my family. LDARF has submitted a community of interest map for the Bangladesh community in Kensington. I am here to tell the Commission to keep our community of Kensington united in one council district. The Bangladeshi community in Kensington has been here for many years now. We have grown so large, we have been able to elect a council member for our community, build, manage cultural and religious institute, and put Kensington on the map as a little Bangladesh. Our children on both sides of Ocean Parkway attend the same schools. They work with our local council member around issues in school like language and bullying. We need to make sure they are in the same district so we can fight for our kids and ensure they get a good education. Please use the map submitted by LRF for the Kensington Bangladeshi community of interest and keep us in one district. Your decision will be impact us for the next 10 years to take our community's concern seriously. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Adriana Bergen? Teresa, is it Allert? Patricia Moses? Only have one name here, Oswald? I don't know if you're waving goodbye to me or you were Oswald. Fine, okay, just double checking. Charmaine John. Okay, Steinmetz. Vanessa, is it Kashi? Looks like Q-U-A-S-H-I-E. Eric Frankel. Windsor Nelson. Maureen Lewis. Daniel Hardia. Sally Wong? Sally. Oh, hold on. Sally, either way, you're Daniel?
Yes, Daniel Heredia.
Welcome.
All right. Hi, members of the NYC District and Commission. My name is Daniel Heredia, and I'm testing in regards to preliminary maps of Council District 45. So I have represented both the Haitian American Business Network, Little Haiti in Brooklyn, and the Farragut Snyder Nostrand Avenue Merchants Association for the past 5 years. Firstly, I'm mainly concerned with that the preliminary maps drafted by your commission will significantly change the level of services that the residents, business owners, and our children in our district have come to expect from our organizations. The merchant organizing groups I represent have been networking in our community for decades, and our catchment areas are predicated on East Flatbush remaining whole and extending to Remsen Village, in Remsen Avenue in Remsen Village, and to Avenue P in Flatlands, part of Brooklyn. If these sections of East Flatbush and Flatlands are removed from our district, many of those on the fringes of our district will no longer have access to the essential resources that our organization provides in terms of business development and education. And that potentially stunts the development of our neighborhoods for a whole decade. So we are well aware of the population of District 45 as it stands right now, but thus, in order to keep our community tied and not to disenfranchise the Black, Caribbean, and South Asian groups in our district, we need to do the opposite of what is currently drafted in the maps for District 45. We need to expand further east where we can network with more diverse businesses and institutions. We need to add additional parks and recreational spaces for the use of residents in our district, especially those of the youth. And we need to solve the underpopulation that our district currently faces by expanding eastward, which will reunite parts of our district that have been cut out in past and prior redistricting cycles. So we will continue to engage with the commission until our concerns are met through a fair and equitable makeup of our district. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for your testimony, sir.
Appreciate it.
Sarah Wong.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Sally Wong, and I've lived in Elmer South, Queens for most of my life. with deep-rooted ties to family, friends, and my community. I was disappointed with the preliminary maps released on July 15th, and I am here today to respectfully request for the committee to reconsider districting my area of Elmhurst South from City Council District 25 to 30. The reference area is the south side of Queens Boulevard from Leland Street down to Woodhaven Boulevard. In 2010, Elmhurst South was redistricted to the 25th Council District. The priorities, population, and composition of District 25 are vastly different to the Elmhurst South neighborhood in economic, social, political ideology, zoning, and residential configuration. This change had the unintended consequence of abandoning the needs and interests of my community. City services are designed to fit the needs of communities as a unified council district. The priorities of District 25 are immigration, high-rise apartment development, expanding open streets and bike lanes, whereas the majority of Elmhurst South residents own their homes and share the same needs and concerns of lowering property taxes, maintaining water rates, increasing senior housing and services, and addressing the growing threat of rising floodwaters. Last September, Hurricane Ida devastated many homeowners in my area, where basements were flooded with over 5 feet of water, causing significant property damage and infrastructure issues. However, little to no attention or outreach was given to this neighborhood. Nearly a year later, we see no mitigation efforts, safeguarding initiatives, or infrastructure studies to prevent future flooding disasters. This is just one example of the neglect Elmhurst South residents experience from their representative. Our neighboring area of Middle Village and Maspeth in Council District 30 more closely aligns with our issues, values, community interests, and needs. Elmhurst South would be best served by inclusion into the 30th Council District. We would be able to access critical resources, obtain assistance for problems confronting our neighborhood, and have a unified voice to address the evolving needs of the community. We elect officials who best serve the needs and interests of the community, so it's important that voters have a choice of candidates who represent our values and advocates for the municipal services and benefit the district. I've heard past testimony regarding concerns of diluting the Asian vote by redistricting parts of Elmhurst. Redistricting Elmhurst South will not dilute the Asian voting power in District 25. I have included attachment A in my testimony with data sourced from the 2020 census, which shows the Asian representation in District 25 will decrease from 44.1 to 42.6 if Elmhurst South was redistricted to the 30th Council District. Many of us strive to maintain as well as improve our community's quality of life. It should not be an uphill battle to obtain support and resources from our representatives. Rather, it should be a collaborative relationship which stems from shared priorities and goals. Residents of Elmhurst South will be better served with council representation in District 30, and we urge the committee to make this change. I have included attachment B in my testimony of a map outlining the reference sector for redistricting. It was a privilege to be able to speak here today, and I thank all of you for your time and consideration of my request.
And thank you for your testimony. Lamanya Q.
Good evening. My name is Manya Q. I am a resident of Sunset Park and have worked in Sunset Park for 12 years at the Academy of Medical and Public Health Services, a nonprofit that works to provide accessible health and social services for Chinese and Latino immigrants, the majority of whom reside in Sunset Park. I am also a member of the APA Voice Redistricting Task Force. I support the Unity Map for 2 reasons. First, it creates 2 strong plurality Asian American districts, one that contains only Bensonhurst, the other that keeps the Asian and Latino communities in Sunset Park together. District 38 would be 40.6% Asian voting age population, while District 43 would be 32%. The 43% increase in APA populations in Brooklyn supports, based on the 2020 census, supports 2 strong plurality Asian American districts. I sincerely thank the Commission for trying to draw a majority APA district, but to create one that the Commission drew divides the neighborhood of Bensonhurst into thirds and creates a plurality white neighborhood to the detriment of an Asian and Latino longstanding coalition district. The APA community in Bensonhurst is a community of interest and should be kept as whole as possible. It's currently divided into 4 city council districts, and in none of these 4 districts is the APA community a significant plurality. The Asian American community is diluted among these 4 districts with approximately 25% of the APA population in each. Even if divided into only 3 districts, as detailed in the Commission map, the Asian American community is still not getting its fair share of resources because they hold more limited population count in each district. For Sunset Park, we need to keep the Asian and Latino communities of interest together in a strong Asian plurality district because they have more issues in common than with Bay Ridge. The Asian and Latino communities of Sunset Park are a community of interest. They share language access issues, immigration issues, affordable housing, and healthcare issues. At my organization, community members from both groups access our food pantries and seek similar assistance for social needs. They access the same churches, use the same parks. Children go to the same schools, and community members have started to build solidarity to fight for collective rights, including in response to rising anti-Asian hate crimes. They coexist and share cultural values. Most people living in Sunset Park's Chinese and Latino communities are immigrants and renters, in contrast to Bay Ridge, which has a large white community who are homeowners. Second, Sunset Park and Red Hook are historically identified as communities of interest because of shared language access, healthcare issues, immigration concerns across their Latino populations. There are also APA populations in both Sunset Park and Red Hook as well. They're connected to roadways along the Gowanus. To connect Bay Ridge and Sunset Park dilutes voting power and resources for this population. Therefore, I urge the New York City Redistricting Commission to create 2 strong plurality districts in Brooklyn so that the APA neighborhoods in Sunset Park and Bensonhurst can be strong and not undercut one another, while Latino communities can also continue to thrive under shared communities of interest between Red Hook and Sunset Park. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. To the commission members, we have one more person coming through security, and so we'll conclude when that person comes up. And to those who are here, can I see you? Yeah, I actually signed up to... Oh, I'm sorry, I must have missed your name. I'm so sorry. I may have not heard it, so... Say that again? I may not have heard it, so it's Either way.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good day, everyone. I would like to begin by extending a thank you to Chair Walcott, Executive Director Dr. John Flateau, and the New York City Districting Committee for all the work that they have done to host hearings so that they can hear from people throughout the city about this critical issue. My name is Rona Taylor, and I'm here today speaking on behalf of the East Flatbush Community Development Corporation as the Executive Director. Our mission is to work hand in hand with a wide range of stakeholders to create a more fair and just East Flatbush, and by extension, a more fair and just Brooklyn through providing social services, neighborhood planning, and opportunities for economic development. I am also a resident of Flatbush and have lived here and raised a family for nearly 15 years. During that time, my neighbors who joined me in writing this testimony and I have seen a great deal of change, including the exodus of many African American and Caribbean residents due to in part to rapid gentrification. In reviewing the decennial census data profile from 2010 to 2020, we see that although the population has slightly increased overall from 153,000 to 155,000, when you look at the populations of people who make up the current population of the council district, the Black non-Hispanic category has declined by 20%, or 18,482 people. Along with the decline of this population, we have lost some of the district's cultural vibrancy and economic power. Our primary consideration in providing testimony is twofold. One, to ensure that neighborhoods remain intact the way they are, and two, to ensure the communities of interest remain intact. We largely agree with the Commission's proposed changes, which mostly kept the 2012 lines, but now extends the new lines several blocks east into Council 41 and picks up some blocks in Council 45 south of Church Avenue between Church and Snyder Avenues. We believe that by moving in this direction, the district regains some of the cultural vibrancy and cultural power and economic power that it has lost. However, one change we would like to make to the proposed lines is to add back in sections in the western and southwestern part of the district, namely the area of 7th Street from Church Avenue to Avenue H, and the area that includes 18th Avenue to the north, Avenue H to the south, East 8th to the east, and Ocean Parkway to the west. We will be including the testimony, we'll be submitting the testimony, including a map, and we thank you for your kind attention and consideration.
And thank you for your patience. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Harris Khan.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Commissioners, for your time to listen to the testimonies today. My name is Haris Khan. I'm a board member of the Muslim Democratic Club of New York. We represent the roughly 1 million Muslim New Yorkers that live throughout the 5 boroughs that have been gerrymandered and historically alienated and marginalized through the political process. We will be submitting a testimony that will consist of 3 districts citywide that represent and reflect the community's concentration and growth over the past 10 years. I'll briefly run over 3 of them today in the hearing, and we'll be emailing this along with all of our signatories from the community members and leaders throughout the city. So the first district we'll be submitting is one in Queens. It's a concentration of Muslims that live throughout Hillside Avenue. They have been divided into 3 different council districts in the current map that was approved in 2012. They're also the proposed maps that the commission put out, unfortunately, also continue that gerrymandering and split the strongly Muslim community that lives across Hillside Avenue into 3 different council districts. The proposed map that we will submit will contain Muslims throughout that stretch. It will consolidate the community, make sure that they have a voice in participatory elections that take place in that neighborhood, and it would contain a total of roughly 14 mosques, including many other Islamic schools and centers that serve the community in addition to just religious facilities. But 14 of them are now split up in 3 districts, and community members don't know who to vote for because they don't know which district they live in because of the way the maps have been drawn over the past so many years. So that's a neighborhood that would contain parts of Jamaica, Queens Village, and would stretch into Belrose. And it would make sure that Muslims have a chance to elect one of their own after years of political marginalization. The other district that we're proposing will be in South Brooklyn. The commission tried to do a right thing by making sure that the Asian American community finally has a city council district that reflects their needs as a result of the large-scale immigration that has taken place. But in doing so, it also split up Bay Ridge, which is also a strong immigrant community with a lot of Arab Muslims who live there. The maps that we will be submitting will make sure that the Asian community can continue to have a seat that was similarly drawn to what the commission proposed, but instead of splitting Muslims as a side effect of it, making sure that Muslims are also not split up and all communities are fairly and accurately reflected and represented in their council maps. So the map that we've drawn consolidates Bay Ridge into 1 district and extends east to include Bath Beach. Bath Beach, especially Bath Avenue, Cropsey, Benson, all the way up to 86th, has a very large Uzbek, Pakistani, Arab Muslim population. The communities often take buses across Bay Ridge and Bath Beach to go to the mosques and eat from the halal restaurants that only Muslims can eat from, and everybody else, but because of our dietary restrictions, you have to go to a halal restaurant. It's one community, that's where everybody lives, that's where everybody spends together, their time together. So a district that we're drawing will make sure Muslim voters in South Brooklyn are accurately reflected in the maps, and the Asian community as well is accurately reflected in the maps, and we don't split any community as a result of this redistricting process. And the last one, I'll speak in 5 seconds, is in the Bronx, there's a Little Yemen community. There's also a Parkchester community. Those are all heavily Muslim areas, and they've been split up under 3 district maps. We asked the commission to consolidate those neighborhoods to make sure 1 million Muslim Americans are accurately represented. Most of our community cannot come to these testimonies. I myself came running late at the last minute. They don't use email, they don't understand email. A lot of our community is first-generation immigrant. That's why you might not see the numbers reflected in the amount of people that come here, but we'll bring the numbers to you through our signatures that we get from our mosques and community centers. And lastly, a comment about data. It is easy to get data on different ethnic groups. It is very hard to get data on a religious group that the census does not capture. When looking at Asian, for example, it's very hard to tell whether it's South Asian or East Asian. You'd have to rely on community leaders to let you know. In Central Queens, that's what's happening, where our community has been split up, and we'll propose maps that consolidate the strong Bangladeshi Muslim community that lives on Hillside Quarter. We asked the commission, end Muslim gerrymandering for once and for all, so we can all benefit from this great democratic process that exists in the city. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for rushing through, and we appreciate it. Thank you for your testimony. That concludes this evening. Just as a reminder, tomorrow we'll be up at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture at 515 Malcolm X Boulevard, and that hearing will take place from 5:30 to 9 p.m. And then we set up a special virtual testimony tomorrow for those who may want to testify virtually, and maybe at the end of the evening tomorrow night, be able to take advantage in the afternoon. And that'll be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Just go online to get the information. Once again, thank you and get home safely.